Taking a moment where you felt like you were whole, taking a moment where it felt like you were complete and that you were in a high vibrational place. Let's take a moment to think about when's the last time you felt like that? When's the last time that you felt appreciated? When is the last time that you valued who you saw in the mirror, who you walked out the door as, and who you presented to the outer world? When we take that moment and we actually think about what was happening at that point or time of our life, usually we have a song that kind of goes along with that. Usually there's a specific song that's playing on the top 100 list. There's a specific song that's trending on social media. There's some sort of soundtrack that we have created for our life in those moments, or even sometimes in some situations that your people around you, whether it be friends or family or coworkers or teachers, have created in a way that influences you. And sometimes it's hard to admit, but it's like, ah, that teacher keeps playing that song and now I'm singing it on my way to class, or my boyfriend or my girlfriend keeps singing such and such, and now when I'm on my way to see them or when I'm getting ready to see them and I'm getting showered for the day and I'm brushing my teeth and I'm putting on my best outfit, I'm realizing that I'm humming it in the background or that I feel really excited about this moment. And each time I'm excited or I'm hopeful or I have joy or I'm anticipating something good to happen, I find myself humming this melody, or I find myself singing this song, or I find myself acting out this specific scenario that's a part of this particular song. Usually, moments like that is what brings us back to our present moment and helps us break that cycle of being in survival mode. I believe truly that sometimes when we are experiencing life, because we all are currently in a life right now and we're experiencing life in this moment, in this reality, that we get so caught up on just doing the basics to survive that we get stuck in these dangerous or toxic, repetitious actions and activities that are not necessarily meant to progress us or help elevate us, but it's strictly and specifically meant to just keep us as status quo so that we can survive to the next day. And sometimes because that the fact that we are stuck in such a redundant or repetitive cycle, we unfortunately and unconsciously experience some of the toxicness or the bad behaviors of lower vibrations seeping into our reality and causing a defeatist or an imposter or a negative response in us. So I find that for a lot of my clients that find yourselves in a tough spot right now. Like even currently, there's a lot of people who are not working. There's a lot of people who are coming to the realization that they want to be doing more, but they've been working at this job for the past 10 to 15 years and they're not going to get that promotion no matter how many times the job promises or the manager promises that they will. It's just not going to happen. Or and essentially leading to the concept of, like I said earlier, going back to who were you at your purest, who were you at your core, and being able to go back to some of that music allows for you to remind your current self that I am still that person. I am still this individual that's capable of doing great things. I'm still able to achieve bigger concepts in my life. Maybe it won't be at this company. Maybe it's time for me to go to a different company. Maybe it's time for me to look at a different opportunity, such as going back to school or exploring a different career opportunity or actually utilizing some of the gifts that I have naturally or innately. And being able to ground ourselves in who we are and not allowing for the world to influence us to regress or turn into something that we are not. I think it's very easy, and especially in today's society, to get lost in some of the comparison of other people and what they're doing or not doing and saying, hey, how come I haven't made it at that point in my life? Or me and this person, we went to the same high school or we went to the same whatever, we're from the same family or we're part of the same social group or whatever the case might be. I think it's easy for a lot of people to look to the left and then look to the right and say, how come I haven't XYZ? And being able to ground yourself in your own journey, in your own reality, is what will allow for you to not only get away from all that comparison, but also allow for you to actually motivate yourself to be your best version of yourself. And though it's not an original concept, one thing that I really, really love, I don't know who came up with this theory or this thought and put it out into the universe, but one thing that I really value is reminding my clients that you are only in competition with yourself. You're not in competition with your family, your friends, your coworkers. It is not your job to be your parents' wildest dreams or be your spouse's wildest dreams. It is only your concern to be who you want to be and who you need to be for this moment. Sometimes we become certain people because of specific situations that we're in. And though it's not intended always, it's necessary. There's way too many situations that I could give as examples to an individual situation who may be on a specific track, but then somehow in the middle of that, you find yourself stagnated. I think sometimes people look at stagnation as a quote unquote bad thing. Like I said in one of my earlier videos, there's no such thing as bad or good, there just is. So sometimes we are in a stagnated place in life because we are in survival mode. We are trying to cope with what's going on or cope with the realities of certain situations or heal from something that's happening. And healing doesn't look like sparkly glitter tornadoes that transform us into a butterfly, or it doesn't, you know, digivolve us into something that's a little bit more like magical per se on the visual scale, but on a spiritual level, yes, we do digivolve or evolve into something that is different and, more complex than what we could have imagined beforehand. But while we're going through it and while we're experiencing these things, it could look like stagnation. It could create a pathway for us to have negative thought loops or speak to ourselves harshly or limit ourselves. I know plenty of people who are like, hey, I'm not where I want to be, so I'm not going to do XYZ. I think one major example of that would be people who are in particular relationships. They're in a loving relationship that is mutually beneficial, but they're like, hey, I haven't become the CEO of XYZ or I haven't gotten that big promotion, so I'm not going to exude XYZ because I haven't gotten to that point in my life. And we do ourselves a disservice by limiting our possibility and what we are able to offer ourselves and offer the people that care about us. But also, we have to remind ourselves that in those moments, hindsight is of course is 2020, but in those moments, we're not thinking of it like that. We're not thinking of the fact that we're in survival mode and we're just trying to get from point A to B. And sometimes because we're so stuck in that mindset that we become, like I said earlier, self-deprecating. We say negative things to ourselves or we say negative things to the people that we care about and that care about us in return. However, one thing that I have noticed that helps bring my clients out of these moments is remembering who you are. It kind of makes me laugh because anybody who may be like a Lion King fan or, any type of philosophy that's like, hey, let's get back to who you are at your core. What type of things can we do? And that's one thing that I do in my coaching calls and my coaching sessions is we get back to who you are at your core and make sure that we are amplifying the person that you are and the person that you want to be, and not want to be based off of what society tells you, such as, oh, you have to own a big house or a new Maserati or whatever the case is, but who you truly are on a spiritual level. So, with all that being said, and like I said, of course, I go deeper when it comes down to my actual coaching sessions with my clients. But on this platform right now, since I do not know your specific situation or what you may be going through personally on an individual level, we'll keep it broad and essentially just know that you're not alone, for one, and for two, some of what you may be feeling is because of our current world situation. I think the world has a lot going on, no matter what country you're from, what environment you're a part of, there's something going on, whether it's on a smaller scale or a larger scale. But remembering who you were in those moments when you had joy, who was around you, what was around you, how did it make you feel? When you had that joy, did you feel inspired? Did you feel like you were able to take on the world? Were you able to feel like you are able to accomplish big things? And then from that moment, we are going to bring those type of musical elements back into your life. So, maybe there were specific kind of songs that were playing during that time. We're going to go ahead and take the next, day or so to actually play those songs for you. We will take the time to listen to them on YouTube, play them on Spotify. If you have to burn a CD, I know people are doing that again. They are burning CDs. If you have to burn a CD so that you could listen to it on your retro CD player or in your car or whatever the case might be, do that and embrace that. Like I said, for the next two, I would even say up to 7 days. Allow some of those songs that brought you to life in your past to bring you back to life now and bring you back in this current moment. Then I want for you to practice a very simple and basic exercise of how do I feel right now? I want for you to write down who are you in this moment? How do you feel? What have you accomplished? And what are you most proud of yourself for in this moment? Those are the four questions you will be answering as part of your homework for today's exercise. So, I do advise that you take this time, you pause this video, and you answer those four questions. Take as much time as you need, whether it's, 5 minutes to 5 days. And then once you've completed that, go ahead and push play on this video, and then we'll get into the next part of it, which will be future. Welcome back. Welcome back. Like I said, I hope that you did take some time to write down those questions and answer them as part of this session's exercise. In addition to that, we will now jump into our next part of this. I do have a small disclaimer. I feel like I have disclaimers here and there, but while I was recording the previous section, I realized that something happened with the recording, and this will be chopped into two different sessions. So there will be a first session, and this is actively the second session, and this is part two essentially of the second session. So there will be no pause after this, hopefully, fingers crossed. But previously you should have answered the four questions that I listed earlier, and now we will be jumping into the future component of your musical journey. Now that we've spoken a little bit about what your past inspirations were when it came down to your musical journey and what you are currently experiencing, I would advise that you Think about the type of genres that you used to listen to that brought you life, that brought you joy, that brought you peace, that brought you harmony. Think about the genre, the melodies, the type of communities. Like I said, going back to that previous slide, the vibrations, the words, and the imagery that it brought to mind for you. Do you know that these type of songs brought you into a specific community? Maybe it's like skater park community. Maybe it's rebellion community. Maybe it's crafting and hobby community. Maybe it's whimsical community. Whatever the community is that brought you into, we're going to make sure that we're identifying that for ourselves as individuals. Of course, the other parts still apply. So, what kind of imagery did those songs bring you? Did you see yourself being successful? Did you see yourself driving? Did you see yourself doing a new hobby? Did you see yourself hanging out with particular types of people? Did you see yourself in a cottage style home planting a garden and playing with gnomes? What imagery did it bring to you? What are the words saying? Are the words affirming in such a way where they're bringing you life, where they're bringing you inspiration, they're bringing you a positive feeling within yourself and within your core. And then, of course, the melody and vibrations come along with that as well. Do you feel like the music is moving through you, like it's uplifting to you, like it's inspiring you on a cellular level? Um, because I do feel that melody and vibration does play a role on a cellular level. And I will always say that word slowly because I want to say each and every syllable. Because as you all know, I do have a tendency to speak in cursive here. So, with all that being said, that brings us back into our future, which is essentially affirming music that coincides with who we are in our existence and who we want to be. So, of course, who we are is the most important version of us. We could always change over time, but who we are in our core is our home base, is our core, is our essential components of our foundation and who we are. So, I would advise moving forward that you actually find music that aligns with who you are at your core. So you could utilize social media to find new artists, new sounds, new music. You could utilize some of the older platforms such as radio or going to like a record store or a music store. Your Barnes and Nobles, your local bookstores also offer musical options. And there's a plethora of avenues that you could explore, even including YouTube and other platforms that do allow for you to revisit maybe music that's considered old, but it's new to you. You'll also take the time to utilize what messaging is being curated to you and try to find that same messaging that aligns with who you are. And make sure that you make, like, I don't want to say like a job out of it, but that you take the accountability to actually find music that is curated to your own specific life story. And that's something that we will get into as well. Actually, creating your life story, telling your life story, and being the main character in your own life story. But for now, while we're just talking about the musical journey, think of it as your soundtrack to your movie. Like, what is the soundtrack to your movie? And in that same breath, I am bringing you to epicsound.com. So, this is not a sponsor, but I am so open to sponsorships. So, if anyone knows a sponsor at Epic Sound or any other sponsors that would be beneficial to this platform, please shoot me a message. I am so open to that. But ultimately, I'm utilizing Epic Sound as an example of even moments where we might not have someone who is being featured on your Spotify or even Pandora, what's that Pandora bread? Pandora or any of the other platforms that we're quote unquote used to getting music from, whether it's social media platforms, YouTube, etc., we could also use websites that allow for us to hear something different or be introduced to a new artist that may not be as quote unquote mainstream. Of course, there's places like SoundCloud as well, but myself as a fellow creative as well really do enjoy going to epicsound.com and just listening to different types of music, different types of platforms, and sometimes having music that has a specific melody or have a specific sound or have a specific singer or even being able to have a specific mood is what helps me realign myself with my own version of peace, serenity, and joy. One thing that I think is really cool about Epic Sound is that they have so many different genres and themes and moods when it comes down to producing not only music but sounds as well, which is kind of the bigger concept of our music theory conversation right now. So, of course, you can see here that there are, like I said, genres, themes, moods, and sound effects, but you can see that there's all sorts of stuff, and there's even an option here to explore all music, which does go ahead and further categorize things. So, some of this music are just melodies, some of them are strictly just sounds. Some of them actually do have artists that's being featured that have a career in or are new to the music industry who are not publicized, but they're a person just like you, a creative, an individual, a person that just was inspired to put a sound out that eventually is going to connect with their audience, which would be essentially you because that is part of your community. So, even going to like a section like the dreamy section, for example. And just a disclaimer, this may be a little bit loud because, like I said, I'm playing it straight from their website. It's not in like a media player of some sort where I could, turn the volume up or down. So, I'll give you some time to turn the volume down if need be, but I'll go ahead and play it. Once again, this is fair use, no copyright infringement. I'm utilizing this information to share with you all for knowledge, entertainment, and education. So, here we go. When we look at certain artists that's just listed here, and right now I have not created or logged into the free website or the free portal that you could utilize, but you are more than welcome to create yourself a free account and also peruse these genres. But the first sound that I just went ahead and clicked on would be this particular one. Stained with stained with open and close. So that particular song may incite certain thoughts, emotions, feelings, things of that nature for you. It says dreamy on there, but that might be chaotic to some people. That might be right on time for other people. They're like, yes, this is my jam. This is something that makes me feel alive. I'm moving my shoulders. I'm ready for the beat to drop. Whatever the case might be. There's this other song that they've gone ahead and put inside of some of the tags dreamy and dark. This might speak to you as well. So that might speak to you, like I said earlier, in such a way where you're like, yo, I love this guitar solo. Like, this reminds me of when I used to hang out in the garage with my friends in the neighborhood before I moved from that one house that we stayed in when I was born at, or where I was born at. it might make you feel sad. This type of song might actually trigger you to have certain other emotions. And like I said, there's no such thing as bad or good emotions, but I would also encourage you that if you are feeling certain things, ask yourself, where is that coming from and why is that happening, and is it okay in this moment? For some people, and I'll share this just personally, you'll be watching something or hearing something, and it, it either could be sad, it could be triggering music, or not music, it could be triggering emotions or thoughts. And you can say to yourself in those moments and welcome those emotions. I'm really big on welcoming those emotions and talking them out or speaking them to someone that is caring about you and wants to see you do good. But sometimes we are feeling different things because we've pent up so much anger and so much sorrow inside of ourselves, or we have put away or tucked away our emotions to different things. And sometimes some of us, let's be honest, are dealing with really big emotions. Really big things are happening in our lives that we just did not get the moment to cry about, or we did not have the time to take off work to actually resolve, or whatever the case is. So just because, let's say for some people, I'm not saying everyone, some people might hear this song and be like, this is my jam. This is awesome. This reminds me of the first concert I went to. Like, that was so great because I was able to work my summer job and make enough money to afford my first concert. And yeah, this really reminds me of something positive and good in my life. I want to listen to more stuff like this because I haven't heard music like this in quite some time. But for the people that might be in a different set of emotions, I also welcome you to have those emotions and say to yourself, is it the music that's making me feel this emotion? And is this negative for me and my situation? Because ultimately, the whole reason for this is to provoke positive emotions within you. So if it does cause negative emotion, then turn. Please turn. We will go to a different channel. We will go to a different platform. We will, start a different exercise. But if you are still in a good spot where you're still doing your own discovery and thoughts and working things out, and you're realizing, hey, this song, it doesn't make me feel bad, but I am crying right now, or I am feeling a tightness in my throat. Are you feeling the tightness in your throat because this song makes you want to speak up about something that you may not have spoken about? Are you crying because, once again, this reminds you of a version of yourself that was more resilient and more revolutionary in the past that maybe you have decided not to be because you've been trying to fit into your organization at your social club, or because you're trying to fit into a specific kind of role at work? And now you're remembering, hey, you were that particular kid that used to stand up for the small guy when you were in high school or when you were younger, and this song is kind of reminding you of that. Whereas now you see different things happening at work, and you just don't say anything, and you don't speak up about it because you don't want to stir the pot. So these are questions that I do invite for you to ask yourself, and that I do ask my clients when we are in the coaching sessions and we are working through some of these thoughts and emotions. Let's play one more song. And like I said, I just picked on any genre. I picked on the dreamy genre to get us here. So we're still in that category. But here is one more song that we'll play from this particular category.
Oh no, 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 yeah, yeah. Oh no, 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 no. Loving you would I be like 1 minute of fire, one.
And once again, like I said, each song does have its own ambiance and melodies and vibrations and all the good stuff to it. And ultimately, this song is a little bit different than the other two that we played, not only just structurally and what components are or instruments are played to make it what it is, but also because it started off pretty much immediately with words, whereas the other two songs that we listened to did not have words. I think sometimes when music has words, it allows for us to get out of the specific mind state that we're in and get into the melody and the mood of the song. Whereas there's other songs that don't necessarily have words that allows for us to silence some of the thoughts that we may be having in or give us an opportunity to lay our thoughts out on the scale of the music to actually dissect them and see what they are. Either or, I am offering this as a resource to you. Like I said, it is epicsound.com. I love this website, just like I said, professionally as well as creatively and from our own individual sanity as well, because we all have sanity, right? That we have to keep in line. I do also feel that, like I said earlier, some of the other resources, such as like YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, going to your local record store, going to your local music store, going to your local bookstore are all good avenues. I would also suggest that you go and explore festivals. There, especially, depending on the season that you're listening to this in, there's always festivals going on, whether it be in a different state or in your state, in your city, in your county, or even if you have the means and ability to travel to a new location and enjoy a music festival. In addition to that, I would say there's all sorts of local musicians that also play at different pubs and bars and restaurants, and a lot of cities now, is what I'm realizing, they're also hosting different events as well. So there's always something to do to get yourself inside of a musical environment to take your mind off of the craziness that's happening currently and some of the emotions that you may be feeling or some of the realities that you might be dealing with as well. So again, this has been the beauty of sound. And I have been your coach, Coach Bailey, throughout this process. Again, I always advise that if you are needing more immediate services or you need someone to talk to right now and you're not able to book a session with me, I always advise for my clients to utilize some of the national helplines in case I'm not available or in case you need immediate services or assistance. There's always 988 Lifeline. You can utilize that website as well as their call, text, or chat features. This is the website 988lifeline.org. You could also utilize Sam HSA. I always wonder if it's Sam Hustle, but that's neither here or there. They have a website that you could visit. It is samhsa.gov as well. There's a full platform for you to call or text, as well as call an 800 number. There's several there. This is their website again. And then last but not least would be the suicide hotline at findahelpline.com. And then, of course, there's additional information there. I always advise for my clients to know that I am not a therapist. I do have a background in therapy, counseling, psychology, sociology, and a plethora of other things, wellness, wholeness, holistic theory, and things of that nature. But I am not a licensed therapist. So if there's ever anything that goes outside of my scope or anything that I feel that I'm not the best equipped to help you with, I am always there to advocate for you and to assist you in ways that are beneficial for you, but I may not be well scoped in. So utilize those services if need be. And I always advise people, don't be shy, don't be scared. Call, text, or message these people. They're literally there to help you 24 hours a day. So reach out to them, let them know exactly what you're dealing with, how you're feeling, what you're going through, and literally, they will talk to you and be there to support you in ways that you could not even imagine, whether it be looking for specific, like helping you look for services, whether it be like another listening ear to kind of focus in specifically to some of those issues that I cannot handle as a coach because I'm not a licensed practitioner. as well as also helping you find medical resources, homeless shelters, food banks, clothing drives, all sorts of things. I'm really, really, really a big advocate of these networks because they really do care about people and really do want to help people. And they're literally there just waiting for you to call them if you need them. And then, of course, you do know that I offer coaching sessions as well. So, like I said, this is my free resource to you to help you on a free level because I get it. Money's tight right now for people, as well as some people are in situations where they just need something for right now. But if you're looking for a more permanent solution to some of the things that you may be dealing with or concepts that you're working through, I am always here to help. So I do have my books open for consultations. All of the consultations are free because they are designed and meant for us to meet each other to make sure that we are a good fit for each other. If we are, then we will move forward with booking a session and then we'll get to working on whatever you're going through or whatever you want to improve from and wherever you want to navigate. I always share with my clients that you are the person driving the car. I'm more so like in the background, like in the back seat, or either at like the support center down the road, and I pass you the map once we figure out what room you're trying to go to or what store you're trying to go to, and I've drawn you the map. So I'm literally here to help you whenever you need it. All the respective links are in the description box. So go ahead and navigate there for further information. And as always, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you today. I hope that these words of encouragement bring you into a situation where you're experiencing so much light and joy and positivity in your day to day. Like I said, find yourself a melody, like hum something, step to something, clap to something, snap to something. Find your way back to yourself so that you can skyrocket from there. As always, like I said, it's been a joy, and I look forward to speaking with you again next time.